Do you own a Miata like this, or an MX-5 if you're in the UK? Well, I'm going to show you how to make more power from this car, because at the moment it makes 120 horsepower, but I want more. There's two ways that you can make more power out of these cars. Engine swap it, do something, or you can do this. You can get one of these. This is an ME221, and I'm going to be installing it today. Quick rundown. What is an ME221? This is a ECU, a standalone, and a plug and play kit. So you're going to be able to plug it in. I'm not sure why I'm putting the picture on the box instead of showing you inside the box, but I am. And so it should just work. And it has some base maps, so you can use it and run it just as the car is, and shouldn't need any tuning. What's actually in this box of goodies? Let's find out. So you open it, and there's two boxes. But what are these two boxes? In this one, or a sticker, some vacuum line. This is to connect the ECU to the computer that you're going to use. Just a letter saying, please don't damage your car. This other box, on the other hand, I think has something better in it. And that's your ECU. That's all you're going to be dealing with today. On the ECU itself, you can see there is this, which is where you're going to connect the vac line to, and it's going to go into the manifold. You got this here, which is going to be your connector for your computer. And this, all this on this side, is where you're going to be able to connect extra features to, like a knock sensor, and I'm not sure what the rest do. And that goes into the wiring harness on the body. So also you got the switch in the top corner, you can see, which actually is labelled VTPS. This is very important if you have a 1.6 like this car, because the 1.6s didn't have any variable throttle position sensor. If you put one in from a E36 BMW with the adapter plate, or you can also get a Mark II manifold and put that in, then you would switch these switches to on. But because my car isn't going to have any of that stuff at the moment, I'm just going to keep them to off, just like that. So here is the instructions I printed out just so it's easy for you to see. You can get this down in the link in the description below. The only time that you would have to touch this switch is when you're putting a variable throttle position sensor into a Mark 1 1.6 litre, because that's the only time it actually makes a difference. Otherwise keep that switch off, or otherwise it's not going to work. Before we do anything, we must disconnect the battery, because your ECU will break otherwise. And yes, this is the bikini top that I did make. It rolls up and stores in your boot. So I'll leave a link for that up here if you want to watch that video. Time to stop being distracted and go install that ECU. So now we need to find out where the ECU is hiding. So it's definitely in the car, I don't know where. 89s to 95 MX-5s, they have their ECU down there in the footwell of the passenger side. So if you're in America, it's going to be on the back, it's going to be back there. So I need to start taking everything out to get to the ECU, which is going to be under here. It looks quite wet under the back of the mat. I think I might have a leak for some water or something. So we need to remove this panel on the side as well, and up at the top corner, up where my finger is, up here. I'm not sure if you'll see this, there's like a little clip. You just pull that out, and then pull this clip to the side. There. I think my car leaked a bit. It's very wet. I wasn't expecting this. I actually did change the seal already. This is a Mark II seal, which for the window surround, and this is actually meant to be better than the Mark 1s, and it has proven better until I found out how wet everything is. So there must be a problem somewhere else, or there was so much rain last night that this entire seal couldn't handle the amount of rain, and well did this. It just poured inside the car. Anyways, I should stop getting distracted and take that ECU out. So your ECU is actually hiding behind this panel here. There are 3 nuts at the bottom, 1 bolt at the top corner up here, and then if you run along here, there's 2 more bolts at the top. And here is the ECU. As you can tell, we do need to take it out the car to drill the holes in the box for the cables and the wiring that we need. So we need to open this up now. I'm guessing it's all going to be in here. Oh wow! think the 1980s called. So with this ECU, we need to now make sure it fits in here and mark out where the holes are going to be for everything, because we need to make a couple of them. So turning it around, we can have a look on this side. Now we know we need to make some holes, so we have to make a hole for this here for the line, as well as the USB port so we can connect our laptop. So currently I only have 2 holes I've drilled, so one here is for the computer, and here's the vac line one. And here is our new ECU with our lines that are running out of here. What we're going to do is we're going to drop this back into the factory location, plug everything in, and then we're going to run this line here for the vacuum into the intake manifold, and this other line here into the glove box. So let's drop this in. So in all NAs, or at least in all early cars, this grommet here should be empty for everyone. So I'm going to be using this for the vacuum line. So the map sensor line has all been run now from through that grommet all the way up and across the engine bay, and then all the way back down under the manifold, and connects up to where the carbon canister used to connect up to, which is this little bung here in the intake manifold. So after we plumbed everything in, so we need to remove a Pacific fuse on here. So if we have a look on our box, can you see this ST signal, the one with the 10 amp? So we're going to open this, so it's going to be this one back here, so pull that out. You remember I put the wideband and I ran it to another cable, so I need to put the cable and plug the cable into the ECU now, so I need to switch them across. So that is everything that we need to do in the engine bay now, so we can close the bonnet and then ignore everything else. Later on down the line I can remove this AFM sensor. So put the interior back together, as you can see. So that's the last thing I need to touch in the rest of this, it should be. I hope. Fingers crossed. And if I come around to the back of the car, it's time to connect the battery again. So the instructions say now to become a Civic driver by plugging in your laptop into your ECU, just like so. And this would scare every single Beamer boy in the area, so be aware when you do so. And we need to turn our key here onto the run position. We're not starting the car, so then it should be picked up by the computer. So we click this one here at the top, and because it's finally loaded, and then we press OK, and it should load something. Okay, it's loaded that file. Load base map, ME221 plugin, MX5, Gen 2, mine's a whiteboard, yours would be as well, the blackboards are the old ones, firmware, most newest, and then for this one we want to look for my one, it would be this one here, because it's a naturally aspirated 1.6 from 1989 to 1995. So we'll click that one and then we'll load that in. Let me just double check if that's the right one. Load that. Load calibration. Yes. And we'll watch that green bar go across. Calibration loaded successfully. What? It's already dying! What? So what I do from here, from what I'm following from the instructions, it says power cycle the ignition after downloading the entire calibration. So let me power cycle it. So it's disconnected. And then turn it back on. So now it should come up as connected again in a minute in the bottom corner, or I might have to click it. There we go, it's now connected. My TPS is not changing, that's a bit of a problem. Everything else looks okay. So I was able to figure out what was going wrong. I had to calibrate my throttle, As you can see, the values are a bit better now. So if I scroll down, we can see this graph down here. That's to do with the throttle position sensor. So currently my foot's not on the throttle, but if I press the throttle, you can see it goes up the graph. Yes, it's reversed. I don't know why, but it works. And it goes up to 100. I don't know why it's so slow though. It should just be snapping, I'm thinking. But it's okay. I will be replacing the throttle position sensor anyways later on. So it says to look for everything normal, like the map should be around 100, which mine is. Coolant temperature seems normal, not like a stupid number. DPS is reading a more normal number now because I'm not on the throttle at the moment. Battery volts, yes, and then it says here on the instructions, turn the ignition off, then on again. Listen for the fuel pump to prime. I've checked that. The fuel pump does work. So we should crank the engine and see if it starts running. That's what it says here. And as it's cranking, it should be about 200 RPM. So there's another thing we need to do, which I can't remember if I did or not before, because now is the next day, because it took me too long. So if I go to HRT and go to the wideband O2 HRT, you see these values here in this table. We do need to sort them out, and so the way we're going to do this is we're going to first go to our internet, if it loads, and we're going to find out our specifications for our Pacific oxygen sensor. So in my case, I am going to go to AEM Go series band. It will load eventually, hopefully one day. So you go. So on this table on the side, I can make that a bit easier for everyone to see. There we go. This table here, we need to put these volt values into this table on this side. So I'll just do that now. I did run out of boxes, so I had to like cut a few out, but the line's still linear, so that means it's all correct. So that's one thing that we've sorted. The next thing we need to sort out is injector size. So let's go find that. Injector driver, so under here. Primary injection. So because I haven't changed my injector size on this car, the computer with the base map says 230, which is about right. And so I'm going to leave that as is. I don't know what stage injection is, but it's disabled, so it's fine. So this is all correct. Now we need to check the base timing. So for the ignition timing and calculating base timing, we need to go to first start, where we're going to be overloaded with many menus. Make sure to save the older one that we just did. Close that. And what's primary load? Wherever it is, it's more than 100. We need to go down here to wasted spark and the ignition driver, and what we want to do is return fixed fire from no to yes, and then we're going to have to go start the car and do timing, which isn't that bad. So now we need to do the base timing, and to do that we need to start up the car. So, well, here it goes. Don't die, don't die. Nope, it died. So I got it to idle normally slightly now. So it's time to do the timing. So for the timing, we need to connect up this timing light here. So we need to find a good ground back here. The sensor cable goes over cylinder number 1. And for the power for this, you could connect to the battery, but Mazda has this blue switch thing in the front. You should be able to connect it to here. And now we use the timing light here and point it down there, and we should be able to see the timing. And so that's how you do base timing. After that, we go back into the car, and then yes, I've changed laptops, and this one doesn't have a working mic, so this is gonna be fun. So on the laptop now we can change this, so we can change from yes, mouse, and change this to no. And now the car is, now this here for ignition advance is actually calibrated the car now, and as you see, my air fuel ratio has gone up. Before it was about 12, and just had a look afterwards, and now it's 14, so it's definitely doing something. So I've been playing around with the idle, and I just did a cold start again. Yeah, it doesn't work for some reason. I suspect it's to do with the throttle body, and it's really crap TPS sensor, because if I go along to sensor calibration, now it's saying 0. But if I put my foot on the throttle, it's also saying 0. So something's really playing up with this, even after calibrating it. So I'm going to get a new manifold and a new throttle body. I have the throttle body already, I just need to get the manifold. And I'm going to install that next. That should solve this issue. And otherwise than that, I'm going to take it for a drive. The way you test your fans is you go into output here, and let's say here you have secondary fan. You don't know if that's secondary fan. You click secondary fan, and if you scroll down, you see test off and test on. So those are the two features that you do. You like just put test on, and the fan will go when the engine's on. My engine's off right now, and I'm not going to turn it on because I'm going to piss off my neighbours. But you do that, and the fan kicks on, and that's what you basically do. The feature I have found, which I think you'd like, is under ASL launch. It's launch control, and I got it to work. You put your RPM that you want it to be at, and then without pressing the clutch, and if you just slam the throttle, it gets to 4000 RPM and just pins there. You just have to turn it onto yes, and then digital pin, because that's the clutch switch. I'm not sure what low means exactly, and the way it cuts this one is by the injectors, but I'm pretty sure there is a way of cutting it off via the spark plugs. If I go ignition, that should be it. I want to find out how you can do it that it pops a few flames. The other feature which is quite useful for tuning is your rev limiter. So if you come up to here, you can set up what your rev limiter is going to be. So mine's a 1992 1.6. Those came out of the factory with 7,200 RPM. So I've inputted these. Before originally they come up with 6,500. So I did all of that, and because I remember I changed back to the base map, I just went to menu, as you can see here. I keep losing my mouse. Went to menu here, and then import calibration, click that, and then I just took it from my one where I set it in very lean on running. So click that, open, and this is what is saved in there. That's the basics of how to install an ME221, which I've had to pull up the carpet again. So it's just living in here, flashing away, because I was having a bit of an issue earlier, which you won't have, because I did test something and it didn't work. So that's how you get an ME221 up and running on the base map, and to a drivable standard which you can actually use. I am a noob, by the way, doing this. I have no clue about tuning, but I am learning as I'm going. And remember to like this video and subscribe down below, so then you don't miss any videos, because I don't post very frequently, and well, and you can see any other things I do to this car, which would be quite interesting. And also, I really hope I can hit 1,000 subscribers at the end of this year, so I'd really hope that we can do that with you helping me. 1,000 is a big jump, but a big jump and a big push is all we need.